the summer solstice is happening on June 21st, and this is also the pagan holiday of midsummer. So for us in the northern hemisphere, that means the sun is going to be at its brightest. So it's a time to really celebrate your personal power. So a lot of people celebrate this, by lighting bonfires. It's also just really a time to be in nature. The veil between the worlds is really thin at this time. It's kind of similar to the way the veil thins around Samhain or Halloween. But rather than, getting in touch with your past, your ancestors, it's more of a time to get in touch with the elemental spirits, the fairies. Many people leave out offerings for the fairies, or just, simply it's a good time to just soak up the sun, actually be in the sun. Sometimes people like to meditate in the sun. You can even charge water in the sun the way you would do with the moon water. So this particular year, though, this summer solstice, it really feels like a portal to me. Like, it's a portal anyway, because it's a halfway point of the year, right? The light and the dark, we're between the two halves of the year. But it's also a time when we're still sort of really shedding pieces of our ego identity that we don't need anymore. And we're stepping more into our true authentic self. There's going to be a lot changing, a lot shifting around us. We've been obviously experiencing that, but it's going to pick up speed now more, especially we have some huge astrology as we move into next month, into July. So that's really speaking to how we're all moving into this new era, this new world together. And, we're sort of in I want to call it an energetic storm right now. But when you tune in and when you listen to your intuition, you're becoming the eye of that storm. You're grounded and you're connected, even though everything around you is shifting and moving really fast. So, the other thing that I'm feeling around this solstice is that it's really a time that we might be more clear channels. So you might feel your life force energy or your creativity flowing through you more strongly at this time. And when I talk about channeling, it's really just making your intuition public. It's pretty simple, but it's also looks very different for everyone. So that might be writing, music, dancing, speaking, crafting, however that shows up for you. And if you're someone who channels information, or, you're someone who's interested in stepping into that ability, because everybody has that ability, this is a really good time. This is a really good time to do that, because I'm really feeling like our connection to spirit, to the divine, to source, however you want to phrase it, is just really clear at this time. I think there's going to be some really important messages coming through. But of course, like I always say, it's going to be really important to stay open, to quiet the mind, to be in nature, to neutralize your energy field so that you can hear those messages coming through, because spirit is always talking to you. So let's pick a card and see what's happening here. Holy crap. We have judgment. Wow. Okay. So this is a lot more intense than I was expecting. Judgment really is an intense energy because it's a wake up call. And I think that's what's been happening for a lot of us, but also it's communication. Literally, like I was just talking about communication from spirit. That's what this is. It's Archangel Gabriel, who is the angel of communication, who is speaking directly to us through this trumpet here. So again, when I say listen, I really feel like these messages, even if you're not someone who normally hears them, they're going to be really loud at this time. They're going to be knocking at your door. So I would definitely recommend tuning in and quieting your mind as much as you can. Okay, so let's see what else we have. The Lovers. Wow, more majors. So again, when I say majors, I mean major arcana, meaning the tarot is divided into major and minor arcana. When I pull several major arcana right at the beginning of a spread, to me that indicates the energy is very strong, that there's a lot happening, there's a lot moving, there's a lot shifting, there's a lot changing. Okay, so let's pick another card here. Queen of Wands. Whew. Okay. Yeah, so definite energy around creativity, right? So if you're someone who channels and you channel through creativity, this is going to be a really important time for you. I would also encourage you to do some meditations around your solar plexus at this time. Your solar plexus is the chakra that's connected to your personal power. You can even do that in the sunshine, especially around the summer solstice. That's going to give you a little bit more of a direct connection to that guidance that you might be receiving from spirit at this time around your creative process, around what wants to come through you in a creative way. The Queen of Wands is also a very spiritual archetype. So you might be connecting your spirituality with your creativity at this time. And, it's really also the type of thing where when you work with your intuition and creativity, you can't run and grab the ideas, right? You have to be open and wait for the ideas to come to you. So it's a receptive energy, but that doesn't mean it's not powerful. So we kind of have to reframe the way society teaches us that being open and receptive and still is weak, because it's not. It's actually very powerful, because when you're in that sort of state, that of openness, of receptivity, you are opening yourself up to receiving very powerful creative ideas, very powerful downloads, very powerful visions. Um, and it's also very hard. It's also very hard in our society that forces us into action all the time to be still and to be open because it feels very vulnerable. And, one thing that we might want to think about at this time is how do we set up energetic protection? I mean, I know for me, I work with salts very often. I also envision, an energetic, like sort of crystal, circular crystal, like a citrine crystal. It's also a yellow color around my whole body. And, you're imagining basically like everything that you want to be kept outside of that energetic bubble, like the negative energy, the toxicity, all of that stuff, that is totally, out of your energy field because you're protected by this bubble. But at the same time, it's still allowing in the things that are aligned for you and things that are meant for you. So, honestly, it's different for everybody. It's just whatever works for you. But I would definitely recommend thinking about how you envision energetic protection at this time. Yeah. So this Four of Pentacles came up, but it came up in the reverse, and I'm actually intuiting that this is significant that it's in the reverse. I don't always read reversals, but in this case, I think I will take it that way. So the Four of Pentacles is all about stability, but almost in a false way, like holding on to things that you don't really need, like false ego personas or jobs or relationships or titles or institutions or money, things that, in the past era, we felt like we needed to hang on to stay safe. But when all those things got sort of shaken up and tossed to the side, we were really forced to go into ourselves, internal, and figure out, well, where is that stability inside myself? That doesn't mean you have to go it alone. You can still, of course, reach out for support from your communities. And that's going to be really important in this time. Like finding those people who can help you with the healing modality, calling a friend, asking for support. But when it comes to who we are, like our true, authentic core selves, you can't really find that outside yourself. Like that's going to have to come internal. And it's different now that we have, as of today, the 19th, the day that I'm filming this, we have Chiron, the wounded healer, moving into Taurus. And Taurus is all about stability. But we're going to have to heal some of those wounds that we have around, like what made us feel stable in a way that was sort of an illusion. Because if it goes away, then our whole life gets shaken up. In theory, we should be stable no matter what happens around us, right? Like we should be able to trust ourselves to confront whatever challenge comes our way. So even if things do get shaken up, we're that eye in the storm. We have that stability, that internal stability. And I think that's really what we're going to be asked to heal through this next era where we have Chiron moving through Taurus. So anyway, that's what I think this Four of Pentacles is telling us. But let's see what else we have that wants to come out. Another four, another in the reverse. So it's kind of a similar energy. The Four of Wands is about stability in sort of like a different way. The Four of Wands can be about like stable relationships, stable partnerships, but it is in the reverse. So I think we'll just have to go with the flow and be open and redefine what relationships mean to us in this new era. Because again, it's totally, 100% a doable, possible thing for us to have healthy, stable partnerships, but that has to start with our own internal stability. We can't be coming into relationships if we're not internally stable. The partner can help us, feel safe in order to develop our own internal stability and our own internal authentic self. But they can't do that for us. They can only support us in doing that. So it's a little bit of a yes, of course, if you need support, it's there, it's available for you, but it is a journey that you have to also kind of walk on your own. So it's kind of a weird paradox there, but I think it's going to keep coming up, and the fact that that came up twice indicates that that's a significant message. We also have the king. Sorry, I said king, but it's actually the Knight of Wands. The Knights are all about movement. And this is about movement forward with creativity. So again, I think I was talking earlier about creative projects and that a lot of us are going to be feeling that sort of life force energy, that channeled energy coming through us. I feel like that's going to pick up. I feel like we might actually be even just going through our day and all of a sudden we get like a creative download. And I think the invitation is for us to trust that and to give that priority. So even if you're in the middle of doing the dishes, to stop doing the dishes and go write down what's coming into your brain. Or, even if you're, I don't know, driving or something, like to maybe pull over and take a quick voice note on those downloads that are coming through your head. So, I mean, I'm just saying that because things are speeding up so quickly anyway with the astrology. I mean, I don't want to get into all of it because there's so much, but especially moving into July, the pace is going to pick up a lot faster, and there's going to be shifts that you're going to actually be able to tell in the collective. So I think that things like collective, what does the collective stability mean for us? I think that's going to look a lot different too. We have a lot of energy with the outer planets, and that means big world changes that affect everyone together. But when we find our true authentic core, we can then come at the collective and be of service in a much more stable way, right? I just put this Knight of Wands back in the deck and it came back out again. So I think there's more to this message here with this Knight of Wands. Just because there's potentially no movement with your manifestations at the moment doesn't mean that they're not on the way. I do think that the channeling, if you want to step into those channeling abilities, even if they're not leading to the exact creative output that you would want to see come out, just that practice of channeling is going to help put you in that energy of being more open to receive those creative downloads. So some of you guys might be familiar with like morning pages or the artist way. I do this every morning, or I try to, where I sit with my computer and I let my conscious mind take a step aside and I let whatever words want to flow through me. Now, you know, this is not 9 million times out of 10. This is not going to be something that I'm going to show to anybody. But I do find that this is guidance that's useful for me personally. And every now and again, I'll feel like there's a message that I need to share with you guys. So I actually did that earlier in this video. Like some of the messages that I was talking about earlier came through my channeling session this morning. So you can use your discernment as to like whether or not you want to use information that you channel or information that comes through your intuition if you want to make that public. Like you don't have to, you don't, I mean, the channeling, you're sort of making it public by writing it down either way. Like I consider that channeling, but making it public in a much broader way. Like you can decide whether or not you want to do that. Every piece of information that you're going to channel is going to have to come with, discernment, and you're going to have to balance your intuition with your rational mind, your intellect, right? I do want to say though, it's a good idea just to get in the practice of that channeling, because especially if you're someone who's creative, when you're in that practice, it's going to put you more in that mindset of being available to receive the creativity, to receive the downloads. Because again, creativity, intuition, it comes to you. You cannot go to it. So you have to actively try to put yourself in that receptive state of mind, which is a practice. It doesn't come to us naturally because we live in a society that's based on movement, that wants to see the results right away. That it says if we don't see something right now, that means that we're not doing enough and that we have to go run out, grab it, do something, make a move, make an action, write an email, do something. So this is a reframe. Like it's a reframe of that mindset into, well, what happens if I'm just still? What happens if I listen? What happens if I open up my auric field, if I open up my senses that are not just my 5 senses, but my other senses, and I wait and I listen for what wants to come through. This is still in our society, it's a maligned thing. Like, there's been a lot of fear messaging around intuition and channeling and, basically spirituality in general. And my strong suspicion is because we all have a personal connection to the divine, but that institutions like religion, the church, yada, 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 they would kind of be obsolete if that were true, which it is to me, that we all have a direct connection to the divine, right? Like we don't need a church. We don't need, a figurehead or somebody or an institution, somebody to go through in order to reach the divine. Anytime throughout the course of history, somebody has preached that, the Gnostics, the Cathars, etc. Like if you can Google those guys, if you don't know who they are, there's a lot of information out there on them. But, a lot of the mystic traditions, Sufis, etc., they believed that we all had this direct connection to the divine. And the people who preached that were immediately persecuted, killed, witches, of course, too, are part of that, unfortunately. And that was because preaching a direct connection to the divine makes institutions obsolete and it takes their power away. So there has been a lot of fear messaging because of that around your intuition, that it makes you crazy, or that you should be afraid of it, or that it's demonic, or this and that, right? None of this is true, guys. You have to understand like who benefits from us believing that our intuition is like weird or wrong. It's generally 9 times out of 10. It's like a patriarchy or a colonial structure, or somebody who wants to control. Like somebody who wants to control you does not want you to have that direct connection to the divine, because then they can't control you. Because like I've said this before, our intuition is our sovereignty. It's how we know to go towards the people, places, things that are aligned for us, and how to go away from the people, places, things that are going to lie to us, manipulate us, try to hurt and control us. So it's about becoming conscious of it. A lot of it has to do with noticing what's going on inside you, noticing what's going on outside of you. And there's a very concerted effort right now by the surveillance state and the tech bros to make us distracted. So we can't notice because we have too much going on in our phone, too much going on in our email, et cetera, et cetera. That's why it's so important. And I know it sounds really basic, but to still the mind, to get into some kind of practice where you can be still and you can be quiet and you can listen. And the summer solstice, guys, I'm telling you, I'm really feeling this connection to the divine, our personal connection to the divine, just like strengthening. It just feels like so rock solid right now. And that was part of what I was channeling this morning, is that it's almost like it's the line between us and the divine is like very, very strong right now. It doesn't matter if you're in the northern or the northern or some, oh my gosh, I cannot speak. Northern or southern hemisphere. It doesn't matter. It's just the astrology right now, the way the planets are in the sky. I don't want to get into it because it's going to be a little complicated. It has to do with Uranus squaring the nodes. And then in July, the outer planets are all going to be talking to each other in a very fated conversation known as a basket. All of this taken together means that we're going to have to be brave, because we're going to be asked to step into a new era. And I think we're going to be asked to do that together, which is the only way we can do it. None of us can do this alone. We're all in this together. We're all stepping into these intuitive abilities together. I believe we're stepping back into them. I think of this as more of like a reclamation or a remembrance that we all have these intuitive abilities that have been with us, since birth and since before birth, since our past lifetimes, and that we're now, stepping back into them. So it's like, I like to think of it, when you ride a bike, or when you first learn to ride a bike, it's almost like you're remembering how to do it. It's almost like you always knew how to do it. Your body just had to remember how. And the self-trust is the big part of that, right? And I just, I harp on about that, but it's like you can't do any of this if you don't trust yourself, if you don't trust what's coming through that channel, if you dismiss it, if you're like, this is not important, this is stupid, I'm making this up. You have to trust. It's like the biggest message. If you could take anything away from this video at all, trust the information that's coming through your channel. Trust it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to follow through on it in like an action term. You can use your discernment on whether you want to act on it, but it doesn't mean that you can't still trust that it's an important piece of information that you can use as part of everything else in your decision-making process in order to guide you, if that makes sense. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. I've rambled for long enough, but it's good. I felt like I needed to get a ramble out because, I have been trying to keep my YouTube videos really short, and I feel like when I do that, I just like rush and I can't really express everything that I want to say. Of course, I started shuffling again, and the Emperor came out. So I think at the beginning of this video, what I said was we should all, meditate on our personal power, think about our personal power, what that means to us. Maybe I didn't say that, but if I didn't, I'm saying it now. I think the summer solstice is a fantastic time to do that, to really think about your personal power. And for me, like personally, my personal power is my intuition. That is how I reclaim my personal power. And it's how I make every single decision in my life. And I do believe that intuition and its more public counterparts, channeling, is is a really important source of power, and that it's meant to be used in a responsible, respectful way. But at the same time, if we don't immediately trust it when it's coming through, then we won't be able to work with it at all. So that's the whole point about trust. So that's what I would leave you with. I just, hope that you're able to trust that you are a powerful person and that you do have a connection to the divine, and that you do have the ability to work with that in whatever way feels good to you. Okay, guys, I hope you have an amazing summer solstice and a happy midsummer, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.